Welcome to the Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for the Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we are broadcasting live from the co-working space Work in Progress in downtown Las Vegas. Downtown Vegas has become a tech hotbed, and we will find out how a co-working space plays into that. Veronica Hoffman with Work in Progress. We'll be explaining that. Security is becoming a bigger issue all the time. Heather Wild with Rocketeer and formerly with Evernote. Yes, that is my favorite app, Evernote. We'll be here to explain why properly securing your digital life is so important. And then, of course, Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino will be joining us in this busy show with tech startup news from New York. At the control panel, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Viva Las Vegas, baby.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Why do you ask?
Well, you know, I'm sure it's a little.
Hey, you sound like you sound like you expected me to be at death's door or something. Jim, how you doing? No, I'm okay.
We're kind of all over the place today. We're broadcasting from New York. We're broadcasting from Vegas, and of course our hometown Mandan.
Yeah, Viva Las Vegas, though.
Yeah. Did you have a good weekend?
Pretty good weekend. Yeah, I kind of laid low. I didn't do too much. I just hit the books and did a little laundry and slept, which is my favorite thing to do now on the weekends.
Of course, you know, with the cats that you have around, it's always a good thing.
Yeah, well, they're always waking me up. You know, I never have to worry about oversleeping because inevitably, if you wait long enough, you're going to have a cat walk across your face.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I was at Work in Progress here. They had a hackathon here over the weekend. So
a hackathon?
They had about 25 or 30 programmers that come in, and it was hosted by a company called Candy, which I think is a sub-company of GenCom, I believe is the name of the company. Anyway, they have some video and voice integration that they offer for websites, and people were kind of finding creative ways to use their stuff, hence the hackathon type of thing. And so they had a team developed a customer service video app. There was another one that, and I know you're going to appreciate this, they created a virtual beer bong game, that if you're lonely, you can just chime in with me on the internet and we can play beer pong together.
Beer pong, yes.
Yeah, including the drinking and the whole part of that. So.
Oh, I was going to say, how does the virtual beer come into play?
Well, yeah, I think you have to have the red Solo cups. And you have to have the beer at your place, and there's like 2 cameras on them, and there's a score thing that goes on.
Oh.
So you're still doing your thing.
It's BYOB, in other words, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So, yeah. So anyway, we'll get into it because we have a pretty busy show today. Veronica Hoffman is here with Work in Progress. How you doing, Veronica?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on the show as well. And, you know, co-working space has become a very, very popular thing across the country the last years. So why don't you explain to everybody what a co-working space entails?
That's a good question. So a co-working space, in essence, is a building or whatever facility that houses a lot of different companies. Sometimes they offer closed office space for people that would like a little more privacy. For the most part, it's open, more like first-come, first-serve format. Some different co-working spaces have different types of membership, but here at Work in Progress, it's just find a seat, get some work done, or an office if you would like an office.
And one of the nice things here, of course, is that for a lower cost than having a regular office, you can be here. Now, people get their mail here and everything, right?
This is true. They are able to use Work in Progress as a business address for accepting business mail, as well as this is my business's place of address or base of operations.
So they can have business meetings here if they want to, and I see you have plenty of meeting rooms and that type of thing.
Yep, we have different meeting rooms. They have projectors on the inside, whiteboards, great for brainstorming or Skype calls, things like that. We host a lot of different types of meetings here.
So basically, for a couple $100 a month, you bring all of this to the table, and it allows like a tech startup to basically start relatively inexpensively.
This is true. It's always really distracting to also work at home. Maybe people don't consider that when they are working, but a co-working space, especially one like ours that has 24/7 access for our members, they can come and work their own hours or meet other individuals that help their entrepreneurial journey.
Now, as I've been visiting with people that are in the building over the weekend here, the one thing that I kept hearing over and over again is collaboration. You have a one-person show. You know, the person is starting a company, maybe doesn't know how to build a website or a particular app or whatever. It seems like it's almost like a community here where even though this other person or group of people are very busy with their own project, they don't seem to mind to help everybody else out here. And I think I love that, actually.
And that's what I love about this co-working space, too. I know, maybe in other places you want to protect your ideas. You're not so inclined to get outside help or an outside perspective, but at least here we try to find individuals that would love to have the opportunity to know who is sitting across from them and know what they are about and what projects they are doing, and in doing so, you end up finding a collaboration. It kind of just happens like very magically almost.
So how many tech companies are you housing here right now, or individuals?
Individuals, I believe when I had last looked, we have around 140 or so members.
Okay.
And we have been having different companies come through. Some of them, are very early in stage, but I would imagine of all those members, we have close to 30 to 40 companies.
That's pretty amazing, actually. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that downtown Vegas is becoming the new tech hub of the country. Can you talk maybe a little bit about some of the companies that are here, maybe some that have launched from here into other, into their own space now?
One of the first companies that actually took up arms in one of our offices here at Work in Progress is Rolltech. They are a stats and score tracking, essentially a global challenge platform. They're able to bring people from opposite sides of the country to bowl together. They're one of the few companies right now that actually allows you to bowl against a professional and challenge that person's score that way. And they're extending also as a marketing arm for bowling alleys and other bowling centers to implement their own, app and things like that.
Now I understand the correlation between the hackathon and the beer pong and bowling now. So, kidding. But yeah, it's pretty amazing what's going on in downtown Vegas, and I think a lot of communities across the country could take an example from this. So how important do you think that co-working space is here for the growth of what's going on here?
I think it's very important. In order to really progress, at least tech, I would think you'd have to be really open-minded to all types of ideas, as well as be exposed to all types of ideas. So a co-working space where there's, different types of companies of all different backgrounds, you could essentially get work that way. You could essentially join into a company that you really believe in. I would think it's really imperative to have co-working spaces in places where they would like their tech scene to thrive.
So besides the space, what other things do you offer somebody who comes in to work here?
At Work in Progress, we also have mentors. So just like our members, we have different mentors from different backgrounds. They volunteer their time, whether it's 30 minutes to an hour, whatever their schedule permits. And our members are able to sit down with them if they would like to see the same mentor every single week. There's no cap, and they can essentially pick their brain and, learn about, what to do and what not to do, maybe some advice seeking prior to decision making, things like that.
Okay, very good. Hey, Jim, I think we're at our break already here. So why don't, if you're still there.
I'm here.
Okay.
The music is
rolling
rolling
on the other side there. So,
alrighty.
So yeah, let's get to the break, and after the break, everybody, we'll continue the conversation with Veronica. So come on back.
Currently, it's 72.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Follow the Guru of Geek at facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or thetechranch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all of our listeners across the country and around the world who follow us on the Blueberry Network, on the Tech Podcast Network. We're also on Tuned In, iTunes, the Roku, and, of course, our own app, Radio Pups, all kinds of places that you can follow the show later on. We are broadcasting live from Las Vegas at the co-working space Work in Progress. Work in Progress has been around for a couple of years, and they are key to the resurgence of the downtown Las Vegas area, in particular the tech companies that are starting to emerge from Las Vegas. And joining me is Veronica Hoffman. Veronica, thanks again for being on the show.
Happy to be here.
All right, so let's get into a little bit about how the co-working space accelerates the growth of a company. You know, do you feel that this space really helps tech companies emerge quicker than if they were maybe in their own space?
I definitely do, just because we were talking earlier about the exposure to other people and their ideas. If you were an entrepreneur, if you're part of a tech company, if you were very early stage, there just might be some things you really can't consider just because of lack of experience. So at least being in a co-working space, we have so many different people from pretty much different backgrounds that are at different stages of their journey as business owners, that it's a really great place, I guess, to consider everything, because you learn about all the little things that you probably didn't think about before. But, you know, you might just have a really great idea, and that's the driving force behind what you're doing at a co-working space.
So you were talking about mentoring earlier. Are there other programs like funding programs and things that you offer through the space here as well?
To my knowledge, we, as Work in Progress, does not, but we have different companies that have been invested in from different places, and we try our best to take care of everybody in some way, just because we would love to have anybody with a tech affiliation come through our doors and, you know, meet with us.
So I've visited other startup communities, in particular Kansas City, and they seem to attract a few venture capitalists from time to time. Do you have the same thing happen here, where somebody will just kind of show up and walk through and see what's going on and look for companies that maybe they can invest in?
It isn't unheard of. I have given tours to individuals before, both, you know, in interest of trying to open a co-working space and also kind of get an idea or a lay of the land of who's here in Las Vegas, working out of Las Vegas, and kind of like what are they up to. So I can't name names, but I have given tours before to people that have kind of been curious.
I think the other thing that I found interesting about your place here is that you're not housing just new startups. You actually have established companies who maybe want another presence in this community, but instead of staffing a whole office or whatever, actually just pick up a couple memberships or a membership just to have some staff here. And I hope I don't mind. It's okay if I drop, I'm just going to say Pandora, I guess. But Pandora has a couple of people here.
We do. We have a couple ladies here on behalf of Pandora, and they work out of the co-working space. They do a lot of calls and have meetings. I'm not quite sure what exactly job title-wise they do, but they are an extension of Pandora here at Work in Progress. So
do you see other large and medium-sized companies doing this, where they're picking up co-working space? I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this, but, you know, instead of having an office in those particular towns, they're just joining the co-working phenomena.
I think a lot of companies are joining on the co-working phenomena. It's especially in places where maybe the company hasn't extended out to that part of the country yet, like with Postmates. Postmates is here in Las Vegas right now, but we had one of the employees here working in a co-working space, and she was telling us that it was starting to pick up the traction that it needed, that in other co-working spaces across the country, Postmates employs and has their staff members there too.
So what other services do you offer in your membership?
Other than the business address and the mentoring, some people, maybe they need to work with equipment. We do have different types of membership that facilitate having their equipment here overnight. We've also have a car charging station, because some of our tech peeps, they have electric cars. And pretty much just being closer to downtown and getting companies involved with a lot of the revitalization that's happening here too, and kind of just figuring out their entrepreneurial journeys along the way.
Speaking of electric cars, I noticed that there was one in the parking lot this morning. Do you have quite a few people here that actually utilize that?
We have gained 2 or 3 more members now that, because of having the electric car charger at our property, it's of interest to them to get one now.
Really? That's very, very interesting. So, yeah, I was hoping to find somebody who has a BMW sitting out there right now. We should track them down during the show and see how they like that, because we do talk about this a lot on the show. very, very interesting. So if a person wants to join Work in Progress, how does that process go?
It's as simple as if they couldn't come in to take a tour, they could just go to the Work in Progress website, workinprogress.lv, like Las Vegas, and they could essentially look at the breakdown of the membership that way. They're able to sign up and fill in their profile information that same day. The day that they start their membership is the day they first sign up.
Now, is a person able to, let's say I'm coming down here for a couple days to work on business or whatever, and I don't want to work out of a coffee shop or whatever. Can we hop in here for a day or two?
Yes, we do have day passes, and our meeting rooms are also reservable by the general public, so you wouldn't in essence have to even purchase a day pass if you wanted to reserve the meeting for your 1 hour phone call.
What does that run?
That run, we have...
Put me on the spot here. I know.
The day pass is $25, but our bigger meeting rooms that hold about 20 or so people are $50 an hour to reserve. Our garage holds 75 people, $75 to reserve, and our smaller rooms around, $25 to reserve for an hour.
And, of course, this is National Co-working Week.
Yay! Coworkers unite.
and so you're actually running kind of a deal this week, too, aren't you?
We are running a deal. So for this week, for the 5 days, you're able to purchase a week-long pass for $50.
Okay.
And you can come in and work with us every single day.
You like how I worked that in there, didn't you?
I do.
This is a fantastic space. It really is.
Thank you.
And had a great time with the hackathon over the weekend. It's a 2-level facility for those people who haven't been here before. The upstairs is, I suppose, twice the size of the downstairs as far as working space goes.
I would agree with that. It definitely has more tables to pick and choose where you'd like to sit.
Right,
sure.
right. And you even offer Diet Coke for 75 cents. So it really, you can't complain about that either. So, and there's coffee and tea all the time.
Yes, we'll make it throughout the day.
There's a kitchen area so a person can bring their own food. I mean, this really is your office. But you have the ability to visit with other people if you want, and it allows you that collaboration. The networking here is phenomenal. It really is. I probably met 20, 25 people over the weekend that I hope to continue to collaborate with. Just
That's
absolutely
great.
amazing people here. So
that's something that I call it tech startup land, but it's great every once in a while to take off the horse blinders, realize you're among other people, and kind of just chat and figure out what everybody's up to.
Sure. So are there other companies that are in the space now that are maybe looking at moving on because they're kind of outgrowing being here? Okay.
Especially in a co-working space, as you gain your traction, you, in essence, quote-unquote, graduate into maybe a bigger office where you would need more staff, or you need just different amenities than what our co-working space offers. So I understand that as you may begin here, but you certainly don't end here, and you might even have to relocate entirely. But we would definitely love to have everybody here come through at the very beginning. Hopefully they pick up their business a lot more, and then they can go out into the world and be a bigger company.
So I'm assuming that most of the companies coming in here are tech-based, but do you have some other companies that are not in the tech realm?
And it certainly isn't closed off to only tech-based. We have a little bit of marketing and PR here. We have someone that translates for people, languages and things like that. A few graphic designers. We're not just coders and IT people here. It's kind of like if you like that dorm feel of getting to know everybody, it would be an option for you, definitely.
Okay, interesting. And again, they can find you at
workinprogress.lv, like Las Vegas.
All right. We really appreciate you being on the show here today, Veronica. And I highly recommend people, when you're in the Las Vegas area, I'm assuming you'll give a tour to anybody who's interested.
I do. We are staffed Monday through Friday, and you can pop in at either 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. for a tour.
Any stories, I guess we got about a minute before break here, any stories that maybe you can relate to that have happened because of a company being in here that really stick out? I know I'm putting you on the spot here again. So
I can think of right now one particular member who, at the very beginning of being downtown, he actually delivered food to me through the app Lux Deluxe, and then he became a member years later, and we ended up recognizing each other. And now he's at the point where he's about to receive the funding that he had pretty much, pitched to somebody for. and he's looking to graduate and start hiring people for his company. And it's just very, very inspiring how full circle and how surreal it is downtown to meet someone that delivered your food one day and is now starting their company and hiring their second, third, and fourth team member.
Yeah, that is very, very cool. So, all right, again, Veronica, I really appreciate you being at the show here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And next up, everybody, we are going to have Heather Wild. Heather is with Rocketeer, so you want to hear what she has to say about security. So come on back.
Currently, it's 72.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And, of course, we're broadcasting live from the co-working space Work in Progress in downtown Las Vegas, the new tech hotbed for the country. And I'm sitting with Veronica, looking at the wrong card, with Heather Wild. And Heather is with Rocketeer, formerly of Evernote. And we're excited to have you on the show today.
I'm very happy to be here.
So, of course, I talk about Evernote all the time. In fact, it is my number one app. Every time we have an Apple, I forget what we call it, the app showdown or whatever you want to call it on the show, where I'll bring guests in, and always my number one app to this day is still Evernote.
I very much appreciate that.
And I don't know if you see my computer screen, but of course I have Evernote up right now, and this is what I use to set up my shows with. So love it.
Well, that's awesome. I hear that a lot, and Evernote is such a great tool, and what I love about it is there's so many different uses for it that every time I hear it from somebody, the ways that they use it, it's so great. It just makes me so happy.
And you were with them from almost the beginning, correct?
Yeah, well, it's funny. Evernote actually started, a man named Stepan Pachikov started it all the way back in 2000, and he created it as a way for people on Windows to do research projects. My team actually came over and reinvented it as a SaaS project in 2007, and it was the reinvention of Evernote as we called it Evernote capital N with Stepan, and all we did was make it a lowercase n in 2007. That's all we did. But yeah, that was when I came in.
So when did Evernote, and I'm trying to think back to when I started using it, but when did Evernote actually kind of rise to its prominence?
In 2008, we came out of beta with the Mac and the iOS versions, and really Evernote Web. So that was when it turned into the version that everybody knows and loves today.
So it took 8 years for that company to crawl out and do what it's doing today. That's amazing. Gives me hope is what it does, actually, because I have some startups in that realm myself, so that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to remind people that an overnight success really takes years to happen.
Well, you look at, I always love the GoPro story, too, because GoPro started around 2000 as well, and it took them until 2009, 2010 before they started gaining some traction, and look where they're at today. But everybody says that they were an overnight success. That wasn't the case at all. It took them almost 10 years to get recognized, so it's interesting.
Absolutely, and if you look at the patents behind Evernote, you'll see that a lot of them were filed years ago, like 2005, 2007, 2009, and some of them are just being granted now.
Unreal. So then you've moved on to Rocketeer. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Rocketeer and why you moved to this space?
So Rocketeer is a coaching, mentoring, training company that works with entrepreneurial ecosystems to unleash their potential to transcend awesome, which in layman's terms is really we help people to get to their next level. We work with governments, large corporations, and investment portfolios to help the teams within them on a holistic level. We see the 60,000-foot view and help teams that are successful, ones that aren't so successful, and ones that are coming along like bootstrapping themselves, working really well, to find what they need and what they're missing to just become the best them. And if there's a skills gap, then we'll train up. If there's resources missing, we'll make sure they have that. And really, like, we will bring out from within their best potential.
Why did Rocketeer base themselves in Las Vegas?
There's a wonderful man here named Tony Hsieh. He's the CEO of Zappos, and I mean, he's probably the closest person to I don't know. He's living the utopian dream himself. He sees a better world for. He sees the world as if it is the best version of itself, and just being near him makes people want to be better. So, in 2005, he started to want to change downtown Vegas and make it a better place. And he started this thing called the Downtown Project, where he put, or 2007 or so is when he started to think about this. And a few years later, around 3 years ago is when he actually put $350 million of his own money into revitalizing downtown. And so we decided to help the Downtown Project separately. We're not part of it, but because there's so many people here that need coaching, mentoring, and training, there's a lot of young startups and young entrepreneurs here that don't have the training that they need. We came to help them.
And you really are seeing a surge of new tech startups in the area, correct?
Not just tech startups, but like small businesses, just every kind of company, people that want to help that dream. People, people that don't even know who Tony Hsieh is, but he was the catalyst to make people see there's this place that stuff's happening, and it's amazing. So we're here because there's a lot of people that are starting new things.
Well, and I just was with a gentleman yesterday that moved here because of exactly what you're talking about. Personally, basically a one-man show right now, and he is just excited about being here and loves the environment that's been created in the downtown area, and just loves the collaboration that the pool of talent that he has access to. Maybe not directly, but they're here.
Yeah.
And if he needs some help with something, he's not afraid to ask somebody and might get referred to somebody else or whatever. So it's amazing. It really is what is going on, and you can just see it. And my wife Alice and I, we have been traveling to Vegas for years and generally stay downtown. We're not newbies here. We come down here for a lot of different things all the time, and we have watched this transformation of the downtown area outside of the Fremont Street experience now. It is just extending out. I mean, last night, there's something called Container Park if you haven't been down here for a while, and that's a few blocks off of Fremont. That's an area that you generally didn't even want to walk to before, and you can't even get through that space anymore. There are so many people, so many new things, tech-related, restaurants, bars, speakeasies, whatever. It has become a great place, and it's not just busy in the morning or at night. It's busy all day long now, so it's fun to see. It really is.
One thing that I like to point out to people is I was married here in 2000, and the courthouse is only about 10 blocks away from where we're sitting right now. And when I was married, I had to pick up my marriage license down here. The cab driver dropped off me and my husband, and he said, "I'll wait for you," because he was scared for us coming from out of town. And he didn't charge us. He left. He didn't leave the meter running. He just stopped it while he waited for us for 45 minutes to get the license. And then we got in the car and he drove us. This was unheard of. Right now, I could walk by myself at night from here to the courthouse and not worry about it. But back then, 15 years ago, that cab driver was scared for us. in the same place. And so 15 years, such a difference.
Yep. Yeah, the vision is really starting to take off here. So are there any? I can tell that we're going to get to security here. You're just going to have to be on another show. That's all there is to it. I hope that's okay.
That's fine.
So are there any stories that really stick out with you right now as to maybe companies that are emerging from that startup area that are really starting to take off here in Vegas?
There's a bunch of companies. What's funny is, I mean, Banjo is a great company around here. They got, I think, $16 million in funding recently.
Why don't you explain what Banjo is?
So Banjo is a company that they do real-time news alerts. They go through Twitter and Facebook to let you know what's happening around the world. So you install it on your phone, and you get a notification of something happening. For example, for Ferguson, I knew instantly before it was ever reported on the news that something was happening there. And then for the Baltimore riots, again, stuff's happening. Whenever there's an explosion, there was recently an explosion in front of the courthouse here, and Banjo told me right away. So it's a new way to receive news as it's happening. It's really amazing, and that's based here. Red Bull was actually based here too. So that started out here. So it's not just tech companies.
Sure.
There's a lot of interesting new hospitality things.
I hate to.
We got to
here. It's that time. So
sorry.
I have to break everybody. Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino will be joining us. So come on back.
Currently, it's 77.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at 2, only on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we are all over the place today. I'm broadcasting live from Work in Progress in downtown Las Vegas. Sitting next to me is Heather Wild with Rocketeer. Of course, we have Jim Walsh back at the studio in Mandan, North Dakota, and joining us live from New York, Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino. Katie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Marlo?
Doing fine as well. And, of course, we're talking startups today. And, Katie, I'm actually going to have you lead the conversation, and then if Heather or I have any questions for you, we'll just ask from our side, okay?
Okay. So, I was hunting around for some pretty cool startups I could talk about today. And there's not too many that I found that were super incredibly awesome, but there is one that I found that I want to talk about today, and that was called Mother Dirt. Have you heard of it?
Not familiar with it at all. Mother Dirt?
Mother Dirt.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're a startup based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and they were actually originally known as AOB, IOM, which stands for Ammonia Oxidizing Bacteria, AOB. And this is actually their secret ingredient. They're a cosmetics company, and they make different types of products, but what they really pride themselves on is that their products contain a live bacteria, which the founder of the company, he was like watching animals one day and noticed that these animals were getting clean and cleaning themselves using this kind of dirt. And in that dirt, apparently, was this live bacteria, which he found could help clean yourself. So the company's founder, David Whitlock, has only used his products for the last 12 years, meaning he has not taken a shower. He's only using this special live bacteria products that he patented on himself, and that's it. Isn't that amazing?
So what does he do, just rub himself down in this stuff, or how does that work?
I guess so. There is a huge article on Bloomberg Business about David Whitlock and his company, this company called Mother Dirt. And this spray, or whatever it is, it could replace deodorants, it could replace a lot of things. But yes, I guess he just sprays himself with this live bacteria spray, and I guess kind of makes his own shower out of it, and it must work because apparently the journalist who interviewed him said that considering the guy hasn't taken a shower in 12 years, he didn't smell at all, and he looks pretty good. So
I would miss my hot shower in the morning, I think. I don't know. What do you think, Heather? What do you think about that?
Oh my gosh, I actually lived on a boat and in an RV for years, but the first upgrades I did were to get extra water tanks. So, no, I totally couldn't do that.
Although I suppose if you did it a couple days and got used to it, I can see where, in a situation like living in an RV or something where it would be kind of cool. Space exploration might be where this would be appropriate, though. When you have a serious lack of water, that this would be a way to get clean. I don't know. Is that what they're thinking, Katie?
Well, I think this might have some good use, because if the reason why most of us get, I guess, stinky if we don't shower or use deodorant, it's because of bacteria. So this other live bacteria is supposedly good enough to get rid of the need of deodorants. Right now, there are some toxin-free deodorants that are available today. And having worked with a startup that specialized in toxin-free products and having tried many of them myself, I have to say a lot of them really don't do much. I mean, they don't stop you from sweating. They're not antiperspirants. And even deodorant-wise, I mean, it's not very good. I haven't found one that I really like, unfortunately. But maybe this will work. It is $49 a bottle is what I read somewhere. Don't quote me on that, but that seems a little high.
It is a little high, I suppose, but how long will it last, do they say?
It doesn't say. I'm not sure exactly, how many ounces that's for or anything like that. So, unfortunately, I have to do a little more digging on it to see more about that. But the positive thing is that if this does work, and it does actually, work as a really good deodorant, that might be great, because there's a lot of speculation that the aluminum in deodorants, which are used as the antiperspirant, causes a variety of health issues like breast cancer, Alzheimer's, autism, and dementia. So, being able to cut down on small things, that would be great. I hope it works.
Sure, I can see that. So, and anything else? What is the startup culture like in New York, Katie?
It is alive and well. There's a lot of different types of startups. I mean, of course, there's a lot of fashion in New York, so a lot of wearable tech is here. And there's a lot of really cool people that are doing really awesome stuff, like Natalia Allen. She has robots to do some of her, actually create her clothes for her. They don't sew. I think they do sew. I'm not exactly sure, but the problem right now with a lot of these wearable tech fashion designers, or even fashion designers who are relying on robotics, there are some ways to go as far as the quality there. So, but yes, I mean, there's so much going on in the culture here in New York City. So,
you're seeing because of the fashion culture in New York that wearable technology is being integrated into that.
Definitely.
So what kind of wearable technologies have you noticed that might be different than what we're seeing, like wearable watches and that type of thing?
Well, the thing that's different is that there's a lot of people here that are creating their own types of wearables. So instead of people just wearing consumer wearables, there's a lot of people in wearable tech that are creating all kinds of original stuff. So every time you can go to a wearable tech show, you could see anything. I mean, geez, I know I've seen a lot of different light up clothes and things like that. The Navigate jacket, that was really cool. She's not really from New York, but who is, right? But Billie Whitehouse, the founder of Wearable Experiments, I met her in New York, and I believe she's based in New York now. So that's great. There's a lot of wearable tech. Her jacket's called the Navigate jacket, and it's a jacket that taps you as you're walking through a city like New York, and it relieves you of having to look at your phone for directions while you're walking through Manhattan. It just taps you on the left, or taps you twice for making a right, and using that connected to your smartphone app, you could just walk without having to look down at your phone for directions.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like that.
Heather, are you familiar with anything in New York that might be emerging?
As far as new wearables in New York, no. I know that there's a lot of interest in new wellness tech, like connected hotels for creating like better experiences.
Why don't you explain that a little bit?
So a lot of hotels are now interested in creating a luxury experience for their guests, and so there's so New York, because there's a lot of tourists, they're very interested in partnering with startups to create that kind of experience. And one of those things, there's a company called Wealthily that is working to create that kind of integrated thing. So like you can have make your room kind of like a yoga retreat all at once. Get everything in there. Just tap a screen that's in your room, and suddenly it's turned into like get the temperature right to do hot yoga right in your room and get that kind of thing. So hotels are very interested in those kind of services, providing them for guests.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, anything else that you can think of in the New York scene at all?
Nordstrom is doing a pop-up retail shops with bow and drape. That's something that's happening. So pop-up retail is an interesting thing, which is basically like a kiosk to offer all of your or a limited amount of your services quickly.
So are these things usually something that you can get on the move, so to speak?
Yeah.
I mean, they're in a pack it up in a van and go to the next location type of deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like kind of like a pop-up food shop.
Okay.
But this would be like a pop-up Nordstrom shop.
And you can just go to a street corner and set up and.
Yeah. So I mean, this would be like Bow and Drape offers certain services, so they're doing it inside Nordstrom, and there are also there's other things like I'm trying to think specifically in New York. There's Green Blender is offering smoothie deliveries, kind of like Blue Apron. Where like overnight you can, like in the morning every day you have food being delivered to make a smoothie, and it's really cool. You just have a service, so you're like, okay, well this morning I'm going to have exactly this kind of protein delivered. Pretty cool.
Okay, so in the and not to take anything away from you, Katie, here, but I have one last question here for Heather. We're in this co-working space right now as a community. Let's say you're a community, and I'm picking on North Dakota here now. If they wanted to integrate something like this co-working space that we have going on here, what's the process behind that?
To have it in your community?
Right.
So basically you just have to have somebody that wants to rent a space and put desks in it and tell everybody, hey, you want to come work together? Let's do it.
And that's all there is to it, really, isn't
it?
it? Yeah. Yeah, you just got to have somebody kind of push it forward.
Yeah.
So do you think that this is good for most size communities, or do you think there has to be a population, of a certain number behind it?
I think that any community of any size where there's enough people to fill a room could do this. And it doesn't matter what type of business you have, because as long as you have enough people, it's kind of like a church. Like you come together after you go together. And it's just having that community where you come together to share ideas.
All right. Thank you, Heather. Really appreciate Heather Wild with Rocketeer. Of course, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino, thanks for being on the show today. And the teaser, I hope you got in there. And I'm not sure if we're on the air or not anymore here. But anyway,
we're there. We're on the air, yeah.
And we'll see you again next week.